Hey guys, we're here with a special guest, Andrew, who finished third place at the remote Duel regional this past weekend with Blue Eyes. So, it's a new deck for the format, or at least new supported. What are your thoughts on it for the current format?
I think first before we start, a shout out a couple people. Shout out the deck goat builder, um a guy by the name of Fusionscape or Daniel. He makes all my decks. He makes Julian Colonized decks. Dude's fantastic. Knows everything about deck building. Great guy. Um, I also like to shout out, of course, my girlfriend Iris, everyone from the Fenrir Support Squad. Yeah. So I think this deck it's very interestingly placed. I think most people are playing it incorrectly. I think if you play this any way toward combo, it's just incorrect. You're just playing into everything when you don't need to play into anything with this deck because this deck's so low to the ground. So I'll start. That's my thoughts on it. I'll start with the actual profile. Oh, and shout out to Ojama Blue Backshots. Um, those are my boys. Great guys. Anyway, continuing on. So starters, the best two, the Sage of the Eyes of Blue and the Ether Barrel. Either these plus any light spellcaster is your two card, which plays through two hand traps regardless. It can even be, it's one of the great cards that it can even be itself because of the thing I'll say later in the profile. Um, you typically though are adding Maiden because Maiden gets you the trap, and the trap really just gets you to anything. Ether Barrel is just good because it is the level 4 lower dragon because you can go into the Link one, and it just has to eat hand traps because if you don't hand trap it, Drill Beam is just the best part of this deck. Speaking of Drill Beam, I have the 3 Lordly Load and then 2 Drill Beam. Um, so of course you need 3 Lordly. Even though you side them going second, you still want 3 of them because it is one of your best starters. Because the only difference it means is you just set the Drill Beam over actually adding it to hand. And unless you're going second, typically it doesn't matter. You need 2 Drill Beam because you need 2 for the mirror. Because we found an issue where if you're playing the mirror with Blue Eyes and you use your Drill Beam first and your opponent just happens to open Drill Beam and or searches Drill Beam, you're forced to make plays that plays a lot harder into them drawing Drill Beam and just praying to God you don't get your Drill Beam outed and banished. That's what we play too. Moving on to the other starter I played was Neo Kaiser Seahorse. This thing's technically a starter. It is the worst starter by far, and I don't know if I'd play it again. I mean, maybe. It does send, so if you link it off for the link one, it does send Maiden to Grave, and it does technically full combo plus getting you True Light, but you really only want it if it's the only card in your hand you can summon, and it's only really good off of Hermetic Seal, because then you can go Hermetic Seal summon this, and then on the next turn you can link it off, and then it does everything. Or if it gets sent to Grave, you get Maiden, and that does everything. Moving on. Uh, Next we have the True Light package, so everything you need for True Light. So Maiden, One Eye's a Brick, True Light, Roar, Ultimate Fusion, and then the Prayers. Maiden, of course, you need 3 of because people are typically bistling this if they think you're on more than one Blue Eyes. And you just want to see this because True Light is technically the best card in your deck. I hate it personally, but of course you have to play it. It's too good. Setting Ultimate Fusion's too good. You only play. I don't understand why people play more than one of this card. It has never ever come up needing 2. Even with Bystials, if you just play Roar, it just tutors this out. Like, there's no point. There's never been a point in playing more than one. Um, Same with the trap. I mean, I understand. I understand the logic behind the trap, especially because I like multiple Tyrant. Being able to reset it every turn, use it every turn is great, but I also like want a way to get into Tyrant without having, and I want a more consistent like pop that doesn't require me to play more of a brick in order to maximize on it. Whereas I can get a pop off of this, and I can get Tyrant, which is still just the best card in my deck. To continue, 2 prayers. You never need more than this, especially because after you use the second, if you use 2 in a duel somehow, you can't ever use it again because you can't ever set it again. So there's no point in using it. and you're just gonna search everything anyway. You'd rather just have more starters and or the ultimate fusion of the roar. Some people don't want to play roar. I don't quite understand why. Some people would rather just play the second Blue Eyes. I mean, why open a brick? Like, why play a brick? Other last engine requirement, Mausoleum of White. This card's terrible. You absolutely need to play it. Um, like I just hate drawing it. It's a personal vendetta, but this card does everything you need to do. Just drawing it is worse than drawing the vanilla, which is insane to say. Finally, non-engine, Ash, Nib, Valor, Imperm, 2 Purge, 1 of the Magnamut, 1 Ogre, 2 Metaltronus. So as you'll see in the side deck later, this list was a little ragtagged because my plans last weekend got messed up with some issues with bad distributors over in the area where I live. So I wasn't gonna be able to go home if I wanted to play this event. So I had to stay where I was staying. So I had to substitute an Ogre in for the third Purge, and Ogre was great. I'm gonna play that more going forward. It just played into everything. It helped in the Ryziel. I mean, Ryziel is your better matchup compared to Malice, because Malice just does too much and it just mains Bestials, while as Ryziel doesn't, and just more help into the better deck is insane. I don't know if I'm gonna play Metaltronus from here on out. It is great in a detonator, but it's just, again, this deck is really, really good into Ryziel, and I've even made it so it's good into Ryziel, but it's just not good into Malice. Like, this is just bad into Malice, and you just have to be able to play into Malice, because you can't just pray your opponent does something stupid, and that's why you're winning Malice games, or you just get lucky, right? You still want to try to outplay him when you can. That's all for the main deck. It was 40. I don't think I'd ever go above 40. I don't know why I would. For the extra, 2 Spirit, 2 Ultimate, and the Lightstorm, all relatively standard. Lightstorm's funny when you just hard make it. Won me a match this weekend. Or just being able to tag into it with Spirit. Both are good. I never find the resetting effect of this coming up, but when it in testing it did, but not in tournament. A funny thing I like to do is to prevent myself from dying is since you're playing 2 of each, and you don't typically go into 2 of this. I mean, some grind states you do, but you don't typically do. If they nib you, you can just tag out for this, and you just get a bigger token they can't beat over. It was fantastic in time. It allowed me not to lose a match in time, and it was fantastic. Most important cards in the deck, in my opinion, are the 2 Tyrants and the Neo. Targeting protection is great. Helps you beat Aggregator. It helps you beat Aggregator, Imperm. It just makes your life a lot more convenient, especially with the Tyrant, if you can keep it around, because they can't Valor your Tyrant. And then Tyrant just resetting, just Imperm or Purge or any of the sided traps, just lets you go forever and ever and ever, and you're just not losing games. Finally, the links, or second to last, the links. The 2 Spirit with Eyes of Blue, SP, and the Heavenly Spheres. I don't think I summoned SP once. I think just, not that I wouldn't play it, I think I was just playing my lines incorrectly when I made, so I didn't go into SP. I mean, it didn't, I don't think in the game I lost it mattered that I didn't go into SP. It could have, but I genuinely think that was the only round I lost. Like, it wouldn't have mattered. What could have mattered, though, is probably playing a 3rd Seal or Spirit in hindsight. This is coming up more and more in testing, and I'm now realizing now that V is right, and Daniel's right, that you should probably be playing 3 of these. So for hindsight, I now know. And Hermetic Seal, of course, is Hermetic Seal. You end on your end board is always either going to be Seal or Spirit with Eyes of Blue, preferably with a Nib token, because they've gotten a free card out of your hand and you're chilling. Finally, the Xyz monsters. Aggregator, Detonator, Typhon. Metaltronus was crazy in theory this weekend because I just kept drawing it, but even if I didn't, like, anecdotally aside of my feelings towards, of course, did good. I love Metaltronus, right? But looking at it realistically, I don't think Metaltronus is the pick. I do like it. I think it's a good card and it really helps into Ryziel, but again, you just need more. You just need more for the Malice matchup. So I probably am not gonna play Metaltronus, at least for Detonator. I don't know, maybe for Whitebinder would come up, but I doubt that. And then Aggregator's Aggregator. Send it off of Ultimate, or not Ultimate, yeah, Ultimate Slayer. Probably would play it again. We'll see where. Finally, for the side deck, relatively typical. Ultimate Slayer, good into Ryziel, does everything. Don't really need to explain that. Don't need to explain Lancia. Um, Fua, bad card for this deck. I don't like Fua at all. But again, I needed a card to do, and this was just the next best card I could put in the slot because I didn't have access to my third Phantasme and the Chaos Hunters. I would rather have played those because it would have had me in the Malice more. But whatever. Again, this deck plays low. If you ever play Centurion, this is a little bit more of a control-heavy version of Centurion. And the same logic applies, in my opinion, where I'd rather even be playing Perulia, but I just couldn't find my Perulias, where you just don't want them to even make a board or even make their half board. You just want them to stop, like, do as little as possible to try to stop playing. And finally, the Strikes, and then Primite Scream. Um, I wish this would come up, or I wish not come up, but I wish there would be game states where I would actually like have or add this, right? In testing it comes up. It's nice to have another counter trap that you can loop that not only can loop itself if you have barrel out and really simplified game states, but Tyrant can loop. You're just trying to side into as many traps post side going first with Tyrant because ideally that's why I'm probably going to play Judgment over Strike is you just want to loop Tyrant infinitely in grind games because if your opponent's on two cards and you're resetting Judgment every turn, you're winning regardless. It does not matter. That is it. Any questions from our deck profile recorder today?
That was really great. Thank you so much. You're actually the first topping list I've seen so far that plays just one Blue Eyes. So I think we're that's a new trend here maybe that you're starting. So yeah, no, super
God, I
super
hope so. 'Cause
super
I'm sorry.
insightful.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Thank you again for your insight. I know you already did your shoutouts, but any other comments you want to make before you end off the call?
If you're thinking of playing any normal monsters, because you don't want, okay, so if you're not playing the Primite stuff, Fiendsmith Engine is not a good substitute. Um, if you feel the need of another normal monster, play Flame Guard, and two Blue Eyes is bad deck building. Anyway, thank you all. You all
Awesome.
have a great rest of your
Thank you.